right. So now we're
Awesome.
gonna go to live stream on Facebook. This is the one that we're really careful with. We make sure that it's all working well for us. So,
Yes.
and I love our um come on, our audience there. They have to put up with us doing this each time, but you know what?
They're so
Half,
patient with us.
that's right. Okay. So, all right. So it should be going live stream.
Okay, there we go. Okay, and
You
we're
see it?
on our Laugh Lines and Turbulence live stream.
Yeah. All right,
Good.
here we go.
Okay, here we go. Okay, guys, welcome. Gina and I are here with the wonderful Christine Van Bloem of Emptiness Kitchen. Am I saying that correct? At
You are.
emptinesskitchen.com. And we're just going to introduce Christine and give it a little short bio here that she sent to us. Christine Van Bloem owns the Emptiness Kitchen, where she teaches empty nesters how to cook for one or two, while finding the fun cooking with healthy-ish vibe. She is also the creator of Menopause meal plans. Oh my gosh, which we can't wait to talk about. And then providing tasty weekly menus using the Mediterranean diet to help menopausal, and postmenopausal women manage their symptoms. Christine made the switch from a career in advertising in New York City to cooking professionally in her adopted hometown of Frederick, Maryland. She also hosts popular monthly online classes through AARP, the AARP, and the Empty Nest Kitchen podcast. She is also a certified culinary medicine professional. Christine, oh my gosh, a ton of
Welcome, welcome.
so much information and so much to share with us today. We're so super excited to have you. Thank you.
I'm so super excited to be here. Thank you.
Love it.
So tell us about empty. So tell us how you started out. We'll let you talk about how you got to where you're at. We see in your bio that you started the pivotal discovery. What discovery did you make after becoming 50? What caused, what made you change careers? So just kind of, start with that and let us know.
Well, sure. So I went to culinary school. I realized I started 30 years ago this month, and I was a fetus. I was a fetus when I went, and it was the most marvelous thing. So I've worked in food for a long time, but I've had spurts of going back into advertising. You know how you do a job that you love and you're like, maybe I don't. And then you're like, I'll dip a toe. No, it's terrible. And you go back to exactly where you were. I even owned my own cooking school for 15 years until COVID decided I shouldn't do that anymore. So it was a little over 4 years ago that, we were in the summer of 2020. It was a great time for everyone, no stress, nothing going on. And in a 2 month period, I broke my ankle playing pickleball. My husband had a stroke. I lost the lease on my beloved cooking school. And then I followed it up with a heart attack myself. So it was kind of the universe slapping you around and saying, this is a sign, this is
Yeah,
a sign. But it really took me a few more years because, women 50 plus, like our whole thing is taking care of other people, right? And taking
exactly.
care of ourselves isn't even second. I mean, you have a gerbil, you have an iguana, you're going to take care of them before you take care of yourself.
Last, yeah.
And you
Definitely
know
the
it.
iguana.
Right. That's so terrifying to me. I can't even, But I took care of my husband because he had had a stroke and he's a healthy guy. So we were shocked. And it was just, I went through a lot of depression. Losing the business was incredibly difficult. And that was right when my kids were out the door doing their own lives and all that
Mm.
good stuff. So it's taken me a while, but I've started to realize, kind of that you are what you eat. I should have learned this lesson 40 years ago. But when you're so young and your metabolism's so good and you can eat anything and it doesn't matter and you're still fit and that all changes so slowly as you're going through, but also like that, and you don't notice it because sweatpants are so awesome, you know.
Right.
So it was kind of an awakening that I've had in the past couple of years that really I just better get my act together if I want to stick around.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That realization, powerful.
It is, and it's February is like American Heart Month.
Yeah.
Right.
So I love that we're doing this in February because I am just a huge advocate for women's heart health and being
Yes.
aware. And it's the number one killer of women
Yes.
our age. So I just think it's super important to pay attention to it and for other people to know that it kind of sneaks out of nowhere and gets you.
Yes. Yes.
Christine, I'd like to like kind of veer off a little bit into that because I have heard that symptoms for heart attack for women are different.
It's totally true. It's so true that it's shocking because we all picture that very dramatic
Yeah.
oh falling to the floor, and mine wasn't anything
Wow.
like that. I mean, I was out for an angry walk. I was doing angry walks because my husband was home, and I was so mad at everything.
Mm.
And I was out, and I remember feeling not pain, but an odd sensation in the roof of my mouth. And remember, this is like September 2020. So my immediate thought was, oh, great, it's COVID. I know I have COVID now as I'm stomping around the neighborhood. And I did my walk and I came back and I was fine. And then about an hour later, I just started to feel not good. And I wish there was a way to describe it,
Mhm.
but we were in the last 4 minutes of one of the episodes of Ted Lasso in the first season. And I remember my husband saying, "Well, I mean, you gotta go to the bathroom now. Come on." And it was kind of an odd shortness of breath, but it wasn't anything stereotypical. I remember the only way I could feel any better was literally on the floor on all fours.
Wow.
And I called a friend because I didn't want to call. I mean, who would call an ambulance? And my husband couldn't drive. And I can almost see the hospital from my house. It's 2 blocks away. I live very close. And it just so happened the friend was a former paramedic and he and his wife were really nearby. And they came and said, "We're taking you to the hospital. The only reason we're not calling an ambulance is because you're so close." And I went into the hospital and, they got me in right away and all the monitors and all of this stuff. And one of the things they check on you are called your troponin levels.
Mhm.
And this is something that goes up a lot when you're having a heart attack or if you've had some sort of heart event. And they, I was in just by myself waiting. And I remember they said, "Yeah, your levels are okay." And they came in and the physician's assistant said, "I don't know, there's a 5-point scale and you have 2 of them, which means we send you home, but I just think maybe you should stay." And they took me to observation, and an hour and a half later, I had what's known as a widowmaker heart
Oh,
attack,
yes.
one of the big ones.
Yeah.
And it happened. I'm really lucky because had it not happened in the hospital, I wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
So it came with it was a pain across the back of my left shoulder. And it just started to get uncomfortable and that started to build. And then it got really painful. And then I was the most popular person on that area of the hospital right then. So I got a stent the next day and I had 100% blockage in it's called your LAD, your lower anterior descending, and that's the widowmaker artery. So I got super lucky. And it's just so important if you're feeling anything. I think we don't want to be dramatic, even if we're dramatic,
Yeah.
right? Because no one would ever tell me I'm not, drama. And I am, but I'm not dramatic about that stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? Get dramatic. get like, get mad and take care of yourself here. If you're feeling odd, it was a feeling of being off that whole afternoon. And if you start feeling that, handle it. Take care of yourself. Get to the hospital.
That's so
Well,
interesting how you said
yeah.
that, feeling off, because, and that's another thing is, you know your body. You know when you're not, when something is not right. And like you said, like they kept you for observation, even though you didn't show all like the points on whatever the scale was, but you knew that you weren't, that's another thing is listen to your body. Don't ignore the things that like that nagging intuition. I think that's so important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be the only thing that saves your life.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
Yeah.
And this past summer, I kept getting pain when I'm riding my Peloton, right? I kept getting a pain here. And I went to the doctor and they did all the tests again. They're like, yeah, your tests are fine. I'm like, no, I'm still getting the pain. Turns out I had another 90% blockage. So I got
Wow.
another stent. And I remember the doctor said to me, I'm just one of those girls. Thank you very much. But the doctor said, you really know your body. And
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it that way
Yeah.
before, but I think she's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think we tend to, number one, kind of, like you said, we'll take care of the iguana before ourselves. You know, you feel a little pain. We work through it because we
Mhm.
got crap to do, right? But I think there's another like layer to that of women in our age going to the doctor. They have symptoms, maybe not heart symptoms, but
Mhm.
menopausal symptoms and being brushed off. And so I
Yep.
think that makes many women not want to go to the doctor because they
Mhm.
feel like they're not heard and oh,
Yes.
they're making things up. And so they start taking that on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago going to the GYN office and going, I just feel awful. I just don't feel good. I don't feel
Right.
like myself. And the nurse practitioner, who I'd always really liked, laughed and
Mhm.
said, yeah, that's what it is. And it made me, I was so angry. I was so angry by that. And I just haven't gone back.
Yeah.
Right. Because I was so mad that,
Yeah.
okay, sure, it is what it is. But, ah,
Yes.
right. Don't you feel just like screaming sometimes?
Yes. Or they're like, it is what it is, like, oh, menopause or whatever, haha, you're a menopause, but and then that's it. Like jokes on you.
That's it.
Did you okay,
Figure
so
it out.
don't tell I plan on being here at least another how many, how many more years. I have still decades to go, knock on wood. But I don't want to feel this crappy the whole time either. And
Yeah.
I feel that there aren't many answers for us. We're really shut down very quickly when we come to complain about menopause symptoms. It's either all in your head, so you get it's either all in your head or just deal with it, or no one really talks about it. So there's got to be tons of ways to deal with it. You can't tell me that that's just what it is. Suck it up for the rest of your life.
Well, this isn't our mother's menopause.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, that's such a huge thing because I mean, think about our mothers and
Yes.
when they were going through this. And my mom was this incredibly sweet, very docile, did not complain kind of gal. And we didn't talk about it, not
Right.
because she was trying to not talk about it, because I don't care, but because she just didn't know what to say other
Yeah.
than her own experience. There wasn't any of the stuff, any of the information that's out there now.
Yes. Yeah. Gina and I were talking about that. I think it was another episode, and we have brought this up with another guest as well. Is that, like you said, it's not our mother's menopause. So we just never talked about it. They never talked about it. And I feel like this generation, Generation X, that's going into menopause right now, especially and older, are talking about it.
Yeah.
And just like the same way, culturally or during a different age and time, we didn't talk about when we got our period or when we went through puberty. There was just like don't ask too many questions and but we're doing it again with,
Something to be ashamed of, almost.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you guys are both right. I think you've got that. And I have to say, I think that millennial women are also really leading the charge because they're just starting perimenopause, right?
yes,
They're just dipping a toe in that water and they are mad, right? They are mad about it.
hmm,
And because I think one of the things that's caused in the last, really, it's been like 8 months
yeah,
that menopause, now all of a sudden people will talk about it.
yep,
But I think they're mad. I think they're really mad. And I don't think they're mad at their moms or anything like that. I think they're mad at the establishment
yep,
because by 2030, 1.2 billion with a B people in the world will be postmenopausal. 1.2 billion.
hmm,
That's 5 years
huge,
from now,
Yeah.
right? This is huge. This is
yes,
huge. And it's got to be addressed because
yes,
I finally just understand who the heck I am now, right? I
Mhm.
finally have the fear melting off of me. So I want to be amazing, right? I want to feel amazing, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
yes, yes, exactly. Very well put. That's so true. I'm so glad we're talking about it. I am really,
Yeah.
so leading into into that with the menopause, as we're talking about, so interested in the menopause diet, the Mediterranean diet for menopause. Oh my gosh, please share all of your secrets with us.
This is
I
this
like
is
that.
so funny. If you would have talked to me a year ago, I never would have seen myself going down this path. But I've always been interested. Many years. I've been interested in the food as medicine thing. And the
Yes.
thing you need to know is, I am so not a doctor, right? I'm a chef. I'm a cook,
Mhm.
and I've been interested. I cooked for some folks who were going through treatment for cancer. I've cooked for folks on special diets. I've done all of this stuff over the years, and it's always been really fascinating. So, George Washington University came out with this American College of Culinary Medicine.
Mhm.
It sounds so fancy. And they have a track for physicians and health professionals, and then they have a track for chefs, so that it's really like about the food part of it. So when I did this course, I was stoked. I was pumped. I'm going back to school and doing the thing. And I ripped through the syllabus, right? I cannot wait to get into this. And it took me a couple of weeks to realize we're talking about kidney disease, we're talking about diabetes, we're talking
Mhm.
about sports nutrition, we're talking about cardiac diets, we're talking about kids. Where where's menopause? Why are we talking about menopause? And I started looking around, and there was nothing. There was
Yeah.
nothing, not just in my program, couldn't find anything. So I
Yeah.
found a book called Nutrition for Chefs. And I thought this will be a great complement to the course. I can look at it. Nothing, nothing. And I got so mad, right?
Right. I was gonna say,
I
got
got
even mad
so,
again.
Did your
I got
man
so
watch?
mad. I got so mad
Yes.
because, come on, like, women aren't going through enough right now. And I just was so hot about it. I mean, literally and figuratively. And they said to us, you can do your capstone project. And when I went to college, there was no capstone project. So I'm like, oh, you can do it on anything you want. So I'm like, well, I'm doing menopause. I'm
Yep.
I'm gonna see what we can find out about menopause. So little information that isn't quacky, right?
Mhm.
Because it's take this supplement that I'm selling. It's,
Mhm.
all sorts of things like that. And I will say, as a heart patient, I have to be careful about supplements and all that stuff. You
Right.
can't, I take handfuls of pills every day. I can't just add Eye of Newt to the mix. I really have to know what's what. So I started looking in and I found the Mediterranean diet, and I'm a big fan of that
Yes.
because I love all the stuff that's in it. And I found it and I started digging in, and in the most unbiased sources I could find, they were saying Mediterranean diet is the way to go. They did a study of 6,000 women and they fed them the Mediterranean diet, right? And we know Mediterranean diet is lean proteins.
Right.
We know it's healthy fats, olive oil, avocados, nuts, those kinds of things.
Mhm.
It's whole grains. Give me all the farro. I love it.
Yeah.
It's leafy greens, all the stuff we know.
Yes.
But putting it all together, it really matters. And in this group of 6,000 women, I think it was in Australia, they had a 20% improvement in their vaso, blah, 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 their hot
Wow.
flashes,
Yes.
anything that is related to the vascular system. And it was like, hold on, because every night between 7 and 7:10, I could feel the flames
Yes. Yeah.
rising, right? And I
You're like
started,
Mr. Heatmeister on the Christmas show.
yeah. So I started thinking it really through. And when I was going, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this a thing. I'm going to do a thing with this. And I created menopause meal plans,
Love it.
which is simply a Mediterranean diet focused on dishes for 1 and 2 people,
Mhm.
right? Because a lot of women in menopause aren't cooking for the hordes anymore.
True.
Right.
They're just cooking for themselves, maybe themselves and a partner,
Right.
maybe. And that is where I took it down. And I'm like, let's have good food that
Yeah.
tastes good. And I do just 3 dinners a week because people need to, you can't say, here's a 7 meal plan. Nobody wants that. Nobody
Mhm.
wants that. You have to come to this on your own, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat a whole pizza that night. I didn't feel great after I did that. But some nights you still need a whole pizza, right?
Like last night.
So, like last, I'm like, is it a day that ends in bye? But it's just, my whole idea was, let's put together some menus that fit within certain parameters.
Mm.
And what you're looking for is less than 10% of saturated fat,
Okay.
right? You're looking for really 600 calories ish for a dinner sort of thing. And I'm coming up with delicious food,
Mm.
and I'm trying to make sure everything can be prepared in about 30 minutes or less. I mean,
Perfect.
Nice.
we're not retired, right?
No.
We're not
Right.
just sitting around with all the time.
Busier than ever, actually.
Busier than
Yeah.
ever, and loving
Yes.
that,
Yes.
by the
Yes.
way,
Yes.
right? So that's why I came up with this way of doing things.
Mm.
I thought it would be super helpful. And one of the things I did, because I've been a cooking teacher for, 120 years, now I'm
You look great.
doing
That
just,
long, huh?
thanks. So one of the things I'm doing is every month we have a live cooking class just for the members of
Oh,
Menopause Meal Plans.
great.
That's like this, super interactive,
Yeah.
right? And people can ask questions and we go through, and I don't know, I just love it. And I know we're not supposed to say it because we're supposed to be demure and everything, but I'm super proud of myself for
Good.
doing
Yes.
this. And I
Gosh,
feel
yes,
so
say it.
strongly. I feel
Yes.
so
Say it.
strongly that this is such a good thing
Yeah.
that can help people.
Yes.
You
Love it.
know, I do have a sister-in-law, and I said, Laura, you should totally try this. You would feel so, because she eats pretty well. And she's like, I hate Mediterranean food. I would never, I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. And I'm like, oh, but you know what you like, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was going to ask you that next, actually, with the Mediterranean diet. And
Yeah.
I mean, my culture, like I'm Serbian, so we're not too far off the Greeks,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like Mediterranean. So we, our food is very similar to Greek food too. But, all the books that I've gotten or the magazines for Mediterranean diet are very similar. I mean, I can hear you gyros and fries and still call it a Mediterranean diet. But
That
I mean, do you have recipes and suggestions that go, like, I love farro, like you mentioned farro, and other
Yeah.
whole grains that are considered Mediterranean, but not really Mediterranean food. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. So let's call it Mediterranean-ish,
Okay.
right? Let's
Yeah.
add that ish one because we've got to have some variety in there, but
Mm,
we can still follow the principles of
yes.
the Mediterranean diet.
Mm,
So with those lean proteins, I'm not putting a lot of ground beef or steak on it because
yeah.
steak is a little higher in the stuff we're trying to avoid. But
Mm,
a pork tenderloin, I mean, hello, a pork tenderloin is the perfect size for two people. It
yeah.
can be super economical if you're buying it the right way, and I give you tips for that.
Okay.
It's lean, it's a lean protein. It tastes great if you know what you're doing. I do like
Mm,
a North Carolina kind of rub on a pork tenderloin.
okay.
And then I'll do some great kind of salad, or I think I did a roasted, garlic roasted sweet potato that went
Mm,
with it to kind of give the
yeah.
vibe of you're at the barbecue. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
about a food that's really interesting and that this age group, this demographic likes. And if you're
Mm,
cooking and have a partner in mind, I mean, you have to bear that in mind too, because I am not cooking two meals, right?
yep.
I am not doing that. That is, I've never done that. That's
No,
baloney,
I don't. I mean, I know.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
I
who's
mean,
going to
and
do
it's
that?
gonna benefit your partner. Like, my
For
husband, who's
sure.
my age, as well, we're both 55. I mean, we bet he'll benefit from the Mediterranean diet as well. I mean, it is the healthiest diet.
It
So,
is. And it's the only diet, and I'm saying diet, not like, ooh, I want to
yeah.
lose some weight. I mean, yeah,
Mm,
I totally do. But I'm saying diet more like kind of a lifestyle sort
yes.
of thing that you're going to follow.
Mm.
Because again, not a doctor cannot help you lose a pound. Thank you very
Right.
much. I can help you find them all, but
That
that's a different kind of thing.
Well, and
sounds
that's my husband had a stroke as well a number of years ago.
Oh,
And his neurologist said that the Mediterranean diet is probably the best for him to eat. And again, we veer off the tracks, completely off the tracks
yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, we both love that type of food. And
Yeah.
so, and I love the whole concept of having it for one or two people because we tend to make tons of food and then we're purging our fridge about 5 months
Yes.
later. So
Yes.
I
once it
mean,
turns into penicillin, so
I
my
think we have to
husband
get
has
out of that
food.
habit of overcooking.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very hard to transition from when you had the kids or they would have friends over, like, and also, my family's from Eastern Europe, so it's like we just always cooked so much food.
yeah.
It is such a hard transition. Like, I go over to the store and I'm like, I have to learn not to overbuy either.
yeah,
Yeah, it is a true transition.
Yeah.
And we ignore it because, oh,
Yeah.
well, the kids are gone now, everything's easier, right? And it's
yeah.
not like that. I mean, when my kids first moved out of the house, I mean, I was still cooking like not
Mhm.
only they were there, but like you said, Debbie, like their friends were there too.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And I hate it's so wasteful and eggs are crazy. So I don't want to throw anything away.
Yes.
I'm so careful with it. And I think people ignore it. I think people ignore that you've been conditioned all this time. You're not 23 living in a studio apartment in the city anymore.
Mm.
Now you've spent 20, 25 years learning how to cook for all these people. And it's not a switch that you flip. It's a
Mm.
learned habit.
Yes.
So one of the things that I'm doing are free classes through AARP the first Saturday of every month. And let me tell you, they are a hoot and a half.
Love it.
And they're all focused on meals for two people. And you don't even have to be a member of
Okay. I was
AARP.
just gonna ask
So,
that next because
nope.
I have I think I gotta renew.
Yeah.
I've got about 3 mailings this month about renewing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got that. I've got that too. I think they've got me on auto renew.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I deal with the Maryland office, of course, and they're just so, oh my gosh, they're so nice and they're so incredible.
Yes.
And you will find cooking classes for free from people all over the country that are
I love
offering
that.
this. Now, I think
Yes.
mine are the best,
Well, of course.
but I'm
Well, of
totally
course.
partial. But we get typically 500-600 people that sign up per class, and it's all live, just like we're doing with you. And
Yes.
I set the menu. Some people cook along, a lot of people watch, but AARP will send out the recipes. They'll send out the shopping list. I pull that all together for them. And then
amazing.
people will message me after. That's the most fun part. Like,
Yeah.
the chat gets going, and let me tell you, it is like somebody lit a firecracker under them. It's hilarious. And I'm answering the questions in real time as we're going. And we truly get people from all over the country. You just have to do a little Google search. And I think AARP is pushing classes now, but just do a little search, AARP cooking classes, and you will find something of a healthy-ish bent
Yes.
that will please anyone.
That's amazing.
That's great to
Yeah.
know. That's really good.
Yeah.
They're fabulous organization. I love AARP.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
They've just been so incredibly kind to me, and I just think it's a wonderful group. And the classes are just so much fun. They're at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
But I do have one woman in Hawaii who gets up at 5 a.m.
Oh, my
so she can
goodness.
watch the class.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Is she the, I know, she's the
That's
best.
dedication.
I
That
love
is
it.
dedication.
I love it.
That's amazing. That's great. I love that. Oh gosh, I was going to ask another question, but so with your Mediterranean diet for menopause and the cooking for two. My other question I was going to ask you, the snacks, what was like, what's in your pantry or in your refrigerator that you're like, when I feel snacky, because, also like even in menopause, it's like you get the snackies too, because,
Heck yeah.
like we do during our period. It's so weird.
Yeah.
What would be like your go-tos in the fridge or in the pantry that are healthy and that are, that satisfy?
So I buy little packages of nuts because I love stupid nuts. I love them so much. I always have, I always will. So I'll do that. I have a super sweet tooth.
Yes.
So I'm not a big, like, gain a bag of chips is not my usual thing, right? I'm not gonna go in that way. But I like anything. And you know what? Part of my philosophy, and this might be disappointing, is if you're eating dessert, eat dessert. Like, if you really want something, but maybe instead of eating 15 Madeleines or the whole bag of Milanos, now I'm like, maybe I'll just have two.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I always hated people like that. I'm like, who the heck are you to tell me you can't eat a whole sleeve of Thin Mints? Right? That's the serving. But I don't know. It's become so much easier for me now. And I do love to do, like, there are little yogurt. I think they're called Wee.
Oh yes, I
OUI.
love those.
I love
In the glass
those
jars.
in the glass because we're so fancy.
I know we are
right?
so fancy.
We're
Yeah.
so fancy, but I do love that. Especially there's one now, a coffee one that has like just they don't have chocolate chips. It's more like little thin lines that broke up in the
Yeah.
chocolate. And I put a little bit of granola, like a vanilla granola, on with that, and I really like it. But I also will have no issues slamming back a couple of Madeleines.
Yeah. Well, the Wheats
Right.
are great. I was actually just looking at them in the store today. I was like, I need to get yogurt for like work, to take on my lunch. And then I was looking at the glass bottles. I'm like, oh, this is not going to travel well.
Yeah.
But to have at home, because
Yeah.
but they do. And it's a perfect serving. Like, it's like, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? You're not gonna eat more than what's in the cup unless you open up
Yeah.
another cup, so
Yeah.
you could zhuzh up that cup of wee if you want.
can.
See, my thing is I open a thing of nuts because I'm gonna have the one thing of nuts, right? Just if we stick with that theme. And then I eat that and I'm like, I really want more nuts. So then I flip the package over and see how many calories. 70 calories. Okay, well, I can do
eat 6
one.
of those. I do that too. I do diet math a lot. I think that it comes to us courtesy of the Snackwells era.
Oh
I think
yes.
that's what that is. I think it's trauma from the Snack Walls era, where you're and the Weight Watchers and the points and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's like anything that's like an individual package. I know it costs more, and leaving the kitchen.
Yes,
Like if I'm
that's a good
standing
idea.
in the kitchen and it's near me,
Yeah.
game over. Game
Totally.
over.
It's so funny how you
There's
mentioned the snack walls too. It's like, oh my God, I ate a whole box of cookies that tasted like crap cardboard.
oh my gosh, for real. And I
horrible.
think we are due restitution
Yeah, I
on putting
agree.
up with that,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
do
in
like
our
the
formative time.
yes, exactly. But I do like those 100-calorie packets, you know, when you get the small. Yeah, those are good. But that's
We
a good
can make
idea
3
to
of those.
yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a good idea though, you said to take it out of the kitchen and then just like, not go back. But it's just
Yeah,
habits, like for forming new habits, I guess.
it is. They say what, 6 weeks? 6
Sure.
weeks to form, and don't try that 6 weeks during Girl Scout cookie season.
Oh
Thank you very
no.
much. No. All bets are off then.
Oh yeah. Good Girl Scout cookies don't count.
No. No, especially if you were a Girl Scout at some point, then it's
You're
like negative.
supporting. You're supporting the
Yeah.
good cause, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I seriously, I think we want to deprive ourselves, and I think we have this really odd fixation with perfection and how we're
Yeah.
supposed to eat perfectly, and we're supposed to dress perfectly, and we're supposed to, do all of the things perfectly because that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to the way you eat, I have binge eaten for a really long time, and I just didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And now, instead of beating myself up because I did that for so many decades, now I'm so much kinder to myself. And if I want a cookie, I'm going to have a cookie.
Yes.
If I, want to go and get the coffee lovers only creation, at the ice cream shop, I don't do it very often. I might do it every 3 or 4 months,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, that's what I want. And sometimes I take the coffee ice cream out and I take the little packet of nuts and chop them up and put them in the bottom of the bowl with the ice cream on. So I'm still getting the nuts. But I feel like if we're too old to eat crap, right? Like we deserve to eat stuff that tastes really good.
Yes.
And we deserve to eat things that make us feel good, but we also deserve to not have to chomp on a head of lettuce because that's, where we
Yours.
fall in
Yeah.
our minds. I think we deserve to be kind to ourselves and to eat well and to enjoy the process.
And enjoy life too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sounds me. Yeah. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I love that.
God, who else is hungry?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I teach a baking class for beginner culinary students at my local community college.
Mhm.
And today we made muffins, blueberry muffins, and we made scones. And I just want you to know, I make really good food.
Oh,
And my scones
no
were
doubt.
huge and gorgeous and smell
so
great.
good.
And I was like, not today. That's not my favorite. But it's like all the time. And chocolate eclairs are coming up. They're coming up in a couple of weeks, and I don't know what to do because they're my favorite. So
Yeah.
I got to pull it together.
Yeah. I think sometimes I think also being in menopause, it's kind of funny. We were talking like I don't we talked about binge eating, which I have done in the past too and stuff like that. But it doesn't sit well anymore.
Now,
It's really weird how your metabolism changes once you've reached menopause. And I'll eat something and think I'm going to this is gonna be a binge session, and all of a sudden it's like heartburn, indigestion, and all this other stuff, and I can't even finish it even if I wanted to. So I think that that helps a little bit too, with your metabolism changing a little bit after menopause, and I don't
I
know.
think I think maybe we're coping with different things now.
Yeah,
And it doesn't have to be as big of a coping mechanism for me personally
yeah, yeah,
as it was,
true.
right? That's
Yeah,
what laying on the couch and scrolling through socials is for. So,
Well, I'm kind of going to what, the head of lettuce, right? So we hit the stage because we go, all these years of being able to just eat whatever. Like I got into food eating competitions with people. I went and ate the big burger at the bar and won the t-shirt for
Well, yeah,
why
well,
I did that.
I don't know where you put it, Gina, because
It was the worst experience ever, so don't do that. But um, but you know, you hit menopause and you start putting the pounds on. So it's like, what is the thing that they tell you to do? Well, eat lettuce, eat salads, you know, eat less. And you know, you start doing that, and then you get back up on the scale, and the scale is up a few pounds while your husband eats a whole pie and gets on the scale,
oh,
he's down 5 pounds. But then you start, you know, it just like messes with your mind because it's like you're trying all this stuff that you're always told works, and now it's not working.
It's not working. And I'll tell you, I love that every 10 years what you want to eat changes, right? Like what they're telling you to do changes.
mhm,
And I now it's eat more. It's eat more and feel full, not feel leaden,
mhm,
but it's eating more of the good stuff, right? You can't crack an eye open without hearing protein, protein, right? And I'm not a protein powder, let's put it in everything. I'm like, how can we get protein?
yeah,
Quinoa, if you can make a great salad out of quinoa, it can be so delicious, so
mm,
wonderful, and it's a high protein, high fiber grain,
yes,
right? And eating the lean proteins. I'm a fish girl. I love fish. So using the air fryer to knock out a great piece of salmon and doing a really lovely bright salad alongside of
mm,
that, that's big. That
yeah,
gives you some heft while you're eating so you don't
mhm,
feel deprived, right?
yes.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a key to what you just said too, the quinoa. Like, so you know how quinoa became popular, like what, like 15 years ago or something like that. It's like I love I love the idea of quinoa. I mean, I love the idea of it. I love the farro. I love all those grainy, like bulgur and all that stuff. And but it's like I don't know what to do with it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, how
Yeah.
do I, you see all these, what, how do you assemble? It's like it's when,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a whole thing, right? Because these
yeah,
are new things to us. I didn't
yes,
grow up in the 70s and 80s,
yeah,
munching down quinoa, right? I can barely
no,
say it now.
right,
So it's like it's all new stuff to us. So that's kind of where I stepped in, right? With a little bit of guidance with that. Let me tell you, one of my favorite things, Trader Joe's has a 10-minute farro, right? Which is awesome because you also don't want to come from home from work and have to spend an hour cooking bulgur
correct.
because bulgur is a bear, right? It's delicious, but it takes forever. So we're going to put that to the side and we're going to take the farro, which is so hearty, and we're going to cook it in stock, like some chicken stock or some vegetable stock. And you're like, oh, yeah, I have that. No, you buy the jar of the low sodium,
Okay.
concentrated base because you can get that at Costco for almost no money. And low sodium is really good, especially as we're getting older, and you
Mhm.
cook the farro in that and then make a bowl out of it. I make these
Mm.
butternut squash power bowls
Oh,
and they're great in the fall. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to buy a honey nut or a butternut squash and cut
yes.
it. Maybe you don't have time for that. Okay, so buy the one that's already cut up. Great. Now I'm going to tell you how to roast it. You're going to put that over, and we're thinking like different flavors, right? And
Yeah.
different textures. So you put it with some pistachios. Delicious. There are nuts. You do some pickled red onions, and I can show you how to pickle those in 10
Ooh,
minutes.
love
So, and
that.
they last in the fridge. That's the best
Mhm.
part.
I love
So now
that.
you've got that tanginess. Maybe you make a little vinaigrette to go with it with a little bit of maple and a little bit Dijon. So it's like, ooh, hello, fall, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the whole thing there. And that's where my special sauce is, right? At being able to take that stuff and make it so it doesn't take you forever. And then it
Yeah.
tastes really great.
Mm. You made a really good point too with now cooking for two.
Yeah.
You can afford to get the pre-cut butternut squash. There's a little bit more portion control
Yeah.
because if you buy the big one, you've got like, so even though, do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's more convenient. But there's better portion control. You're not wasteful, even though it might be a little bit more. Actually, it might even, come out even because you're not buying so much food too. But You know,
Yeah.
I think you can afford, if you're cooking for 2 people, to go ahead and do the, pre-cut stuff and just make life easier for yourself.
We put in our time, man. We already
Yeah.
put in our time.
Yeah.
Like now it's like, what do you need to be successful? What
Yeah.
is going to help you be successful? So use those avenues.
Yeah. I love how passionate you get when you talk about making these flavors combine. I
Yes.
absolutely love that.
Can't wait.
I can tell how much you love what you do.
I do. I feel, when I was teaching today, I turned to one of the women that's, works in administration. I said, how lucky am I that I get to do this? And
Yeah.
now I really feel so strongly about this because I've always hated the word passionate, right? But I
And I
have
use it.
this, yeah, I've used it too, because sometimes it's just a word that fits, right?
Yes.
But I have this quest now because I'm just tired of women not thinking they should have, right? Like
Yes.
I still take care of everyone else. But you know what? Like I said before, that I'm really proud of myself. I deserve nice things.
Yes.
And I don't mean, big fancy jewelry, though I am not opposed. But I deserve to eat well. I deserve to have fun.
Mhm.
And, cooking becomes such drudgery, right? When you're cooking for a family or you're cooking all those years. I know that I make it fun and
Yes.
I really love to do that now. I get so into it. It's true. I'm such a nerd. I'm such a nerd when it comes to all that stuff. But I haven't
Hey,
been cool a day in my life. Why
we,
change now?
Ah,
we embrace our nerdness as we hit this phase
yeah.
of life.
That's
That's all
okay.
I can.
Yeah. Gina and I are nerds too, so don't worry
Oh,
about
total nerds.
it. But what an inspiration, Christine.
Yeah.
I mean, such an inspiration for what you've been through, and I'm looking at your websites, the emptiness kitchen.com, your Facebook, the Instagram, the podcast, all of these things that you've done since going through such a rough time is like, what an inspiration for women in our age group, to think that if they can't do something, yes, they can. If they have an idea, if they have, something that they want to share with the world, you're so inspiring. I mean, I'm
Oh
so
my gosh,
grateful
thank
that
you.
you're on to help inspire these other women too. If they
Oh,
had any doubts, that look at, you're
you
amazing.
guys are so sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, I gave a student a ride home today, adult, it wasn't creepy. And she was like, oh, I was thinking about starting a podcast. I'm like, okay, so do it,
Yeah.
right? And how much fun are you guys having with the podcast?
Oh,
Loving it.
blast.
It's
Yeah.
so much fun, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you're
And it
really
just
good at it.
evolved on its own too. We're just,
And did you know what you were doing before you started?
you
Did you
mean,
have everything lined up perfectly?
No, not
not
perfect.
perfectly. We had an idea of what we wanted to do.
Sure.
Yeah, and we're still kind of evolving, like, content that we want to add with it. Like, where do we want to lean more towards? And, definitely women over 50. We were on a news show in Duluth, and, we were just, 50 is funny is what we're saying, and just inspiring other women over 50, and having women like you on to further inspire and have fun with it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how much time do we really have left, right? And I
Yes.
am not going down like my parents did. Bless their hearts. And
Yeah.
I loved my mom. I mean, she's been gone a couple of years now, and I mean, I love
Yeah.
her tremendously, but I'm not going out like that.
Yeah. No, totally. That's amazing. Yes. No, you said that. Yeah. And I'm going down fighting.
Yep, that's it. And I'm gonna try everything, and I'm gonna be
Yeah.
really bad at some stuff, but I'll make up for it with the stuff that I'm really good at.
Yeah.
And if anything, we'll laugh about it, won't we?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. No, absolutely. Life is fun. I mean, don't take everything so seriously.
Mhm.
Because, God does have a sense of humor. I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean, it all comes back to the granny panties, right? What was I thinking with those thongs? Because these are fabulous and they go up over my little floppy belly,
Yeah,
right? And you
yeah,
pull it all up. And I seriously, I'm just like, what the heck? I would wear like full underwear, full like
yeah.
neck to toe if I could, if it was comfortable.
Yes.
I am so
Then could
into
have
it.
taken to Shark Tank.
I love that. Oh my, I think I'm always looking for a more comfortable undergarment because, to hold it all together at the
Yeah,
same time, not let
yeah.
certain things peek through. Actually, we were just telling Gina that I was thinking of doing a funny, like we do some TikTok videos and stuff and doing a funny, well, the one thing we did a TikTok video that I definitely cannot wear after menopause are sweater dresses. Sweater dresses
No,
are,
no, mm-mm,
I mean,
no.
there's no way. With the hot
That's not
flashes,
for
are you
us,
kidding me?
ladies. But and then part of me is like, if you want to wear a sweater dress, I mean,
That's
I am
great.
like, this roll is donuts, this roll was kids, the football. It's
Yeah.
please, did you all buy the pandemic bras?
No, I didn't even know where they were.
Oh my God, they're fabulous. They're so good. And I put a bra on for you guys.
Oh,
They
well, at
have
least
no
you did.
structure. Well, otherwise it'd be down my knees. I'd be like flopping things around. They have no structure at all. They do nothing for your figure, and I love them. They're the best. They're the best.
I can't wait. I can't. I got to look at those. I can't do underwire anymore.
No, they're
Underwire done.
no.
Nope. Sorry.
Just from the fear of it coming out and poking you in the chin.
Oh yeah. How many
Yeah.
times have you had that? Like you're sitting there, like back in the day, you'd be talking to someone and you're trying to like dig the wire
Like
back in,
something's wrong.
trying to feed the wire as I'm talking to people. Excuse me, let me just feed this wire through.
And so expensive. I just a
Yeah.
big chain was having, a 3 for $99 bra sale. I'm like, no. No, if I can't get mine for like $14.99, do not waste my time. And I want them coming from somewhere where I don't understand the language. I
Yes.
just want the bras that are gonna keep it up a little bit and not hurt me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Love it.
Great
So
advice.
So what is the name of your book again, Christine, and where can people find it?
So I have a website and it's called Emptiness Kitchen, and it's emptinesskitchen.com. And y'all can go and check that out. And of course, all the Facebook and the Instagram. I deleted my TikTok when everything was going south. And now I'm like, why did I delete it? Because you can't put it back on. So we'll
Oh,
see
okay.
what happens in the world. But I
Yeah.
have gained
Excellent.
several hours back in my day. But you can find me at Emptiness Kitchen. And again, I really strongly, if you're into cooking or if you just want to have a
Yes.
good time, check out the AARP classes because they sponsor all of that. And like I said, all of that it's just a good time.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like fun.
Love that.
Thank
And
you.
this is where we hit brain fog.
yeah. Well, listen, if I may, first of all, I'd love to have you guys on my teeny tiny podcast. My 4 listeners would love it.
Oh,
So we'll have to figure that out. But I'm really so grateful to you both for not just putting this all together. And I love that you're finding the humor in this phase because I think a lot of us get really wrapped up in the I don't know. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world right now
yes.
that's really tough. And I think it's really easy to look at that. And it's easy to see yourself kind of fading from relevance. And you guys aren't letting that happen. And the fun that you bring to it and the chin hairs and all the good stuff. I'm really grateful. And I'm so grateful that you let me come on to your show.
Aw, Christine,
So
thank
happy
you
to have
so
you
much.
here.
And we're looking forward to being on yours too.
Yes.
So super excited. We're so happy. Thank you so much for that. And yes, life goes on. Life goes on. And, we're not going to
And make
sit.
it great. Life goes on, make it great.
Yeah, and make it great. That you can't just, you gotta live your life. You gotta live your life.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it. Now, is that your tag? Is that your official tagline?
no, I
It
think
is now. It is now.
I think we have a few of them. I think we have a few.
Yeah.
We're
That's the
gonna
way to
be
go.
coming out with some merch, some t-shirts.
That's right.
Yeah, you
I
know,
love merch.
yeah.
Maybe even some comfy bras now.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, comfy
that's
bras, exactly, the comfy bras. Could come up with a name for comfy bras, but yeah, like, you know, 50s funny and some other stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Perfect.
we just want to make the rest of this journey memorable and you know, as much fun as you can, and make people smile.
Yeah.
You
Love
got
that.
it.
Yep. Thank you so much, Christine, for being on.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to seeing you again.
Yes.
We're gonna hold you to the
Yes,
we're
please.
gonna be
I'm not
obsessively
joking.
like message you. You said you were gonna be on.
No, I'm going to message you as soon as we're done and we'll get it set up. Oh, no, I don't say stuff if I don't mean it.
And I
So,
have to tell you, I've been fixated this entire time on those glasses frames. They're
aren't they so good?
spectacular.
I know.
Spec-
Zenny.
I love Zenny.
Spectacular.
Zenny. I know. And they're, I can't see a thing without them. I mean, you guys look like Sybil Shepherd in Moonlighting right now with that soft focus. I'm blind as a bat right now, but thank you. I love these. I
They're
love
so
them.
pretty. I
Yeah,
love them.
they're great.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording.